So yes, I'm the Head of Innovation for the Department of Health and Social Care, and probably from that introduction you also worked out that I'm not a quantum expert, so I will apologise in advance for my lack of quantum expertise. But I've been invited here to speak today to talk to you a little bit about what the UK government are doing to help drive our quantum mission across health and care. So a little bit of background to start with. So we had a change of government last year, which meant that we had a change of priorities as well. So we are now working very hard to develop a health and care system that is fit for the future. And to do this, we've been asked to focus on 3 big reform shifts. So that is thinking about how we can move more from a treatment-based approach to prevention, so how we can help keep people healthier for longer, how we can move treatment from hospitals into the community, and how we can move from analogue to digital to make better use of technology. And we see that quantum has a role to play in all of those 3 shifts. The UK is a major force in innovation and technology, with approximately 25% of the world's top 100 medicines and game-changing medical technologies, for example MRI, were discovered and developed in the UK. We have a very large national health service, which is free at the point of access. We have a very large diverse patient population, and we have several large funding bodies which are publicly funded. The Department of Health and Social Care has the National Institute for Health and Care Research, which funds £1.3 billion annually worth of health and care research, and also UK-KOR, UK Research and Innovation, which invests almost £10 billion annually in research. We have world-leading academic research institutions. We have approximately a workforce in the NHS of 1.3 million people, and we hold the medical records for over 65 million people. You can see on the right-hand side there that I've detailed why the life sciences sector is so important to the UK, and we are very keen as a government to make sure that we are driving the growth of this sector because it is so important to us. In my team, we are responsible for the delivery of some of what the government has called game-changing technologies. So these are cross-government priorities, not just within the Department of Health and Social Care, that we see as critically important for the growth of the sector in the UK. And these are artificial intelligence, engineering, biology, future telecoms, semiconductors, and quantum technologies. And you can see here that we have invested £1.1 billion since 2014 in developing quantum technologies. And we have recently also invested over £100 million in the development of 5 quantum hubs across the UK. And just for interest in my team, we are also interested in things like wearables and robotics and other technologies that can help the health and care system. So in 2023, we launched the Quantum for Health mission, and this is a hugely ambitious piece of work where we're aiming by 2030 that every NHS trust will benefit from quantum sensing-enabled solutions to help people live for healthier lives. So in this talk, I'm going to concentrate on quantum sensing, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Rather than quantum computing. We are still interested in quantum computing, but at the moment we're focusing on quantum sensing, and this is for a couple of reasons. We perceive that quantum sensing is much more advanced than quantum computing, and that impact for patients and the public will be seen much sooner. So there is a sense of urgency for us that we are preparing the system to get ready for quantum sensors. We think that they have the potential to have a huge impact in healthcare, reducing time that it takes to get diagnosis and also reducing cost. And also quantum sensing has a huge amount of case uses that we are particularly interested in, and it can help in a very diverse range of disease areas. So I'm not going to spend too long talking about quantum sensors, but just to say that they rely on quantum principles, and we are interested in them because we perceive that they can be more accurate than current systems. They can be smaller and more portable, and they can also be more efficient. I've listed some examples of the sorts of quantum sensors that we're particularly interested in. So we're working quite closely with industry in the UK to understand their use cases and to think about ways that we can be helping those to get to patient benefit more quickly. So there is the first, and I think probably the most advanced example of this, is a wearable brain scanner, which is particularly helpful in diagnosis of patients with different backgrounds. So children who might be suffering from epilepsy, they can wear a portable brain scanner. They don't need to go into an MRI machine. And similarly for patients who have Alzheimer's. We are also interested in things like new lateral flow light tests, which can be used in the community instead of requiring sort of centrally located diagnostic services, and also looking at imaging techniques that get more accurate predictions of cancer tumours. So we see that quantum has a particularly important role to play in how we get to the 3 shifts. So from moving from treatment to prevention, we see that quantum sensors are more accurate, so will help us get an earlier diagnosis for patients. There is the potential to use some of these testing outside hospital settings and can potentially lead to a more efficient and secure healthcare system. But it doesn't come without its challenges. So these are some of the things that we are focused on as a government to make sure that we're doing the most that we can to support the adoption of some of these technologies within the health and care system. So a couple of speakers today, I think, have really sort of highlighted the importance of understanding what the problems are in the health and care system. We are particularly interested in getting clinicians working with people from different backgrounds, people who are working in data, people who are working in mathematics and physics, so that there is a joint understanding of what the potential of quantum is, and that those researchers and innovators are actually developing technology that is applicable for patients and the public. We know that the funding landscape in the UK is really complex. There are lots of different places where researchers and academics can get funding from. So we're making sure that it's quite clear, if you're potentially looking to move into quantum research, that you are aware of the different opportunities that are available to you, because it is actually quite difficult. We are also looking at increasing the amount of funding that we are giving to quantum research through the NIHR, but also for UK research and innovation. So we have a new funding call that's being launched quite soon. It's called the FAST call. It's an Eye for Eye scheme, which is going to be open and particularly asking for people who are working in game-changing technologies to apply. We're aware that some of these new technologies come with challenges around regulation. And so we are preparing the UK regulators to make sure that they are understanding that the technology is coming, and to make sure that they will be ready when some of these technologies are ready to be launched in the UK. We are also thinking about how we can support individual innovators, so working with industry and academics, and how we can join them up better to make the most of the system that we have already. So we think that we will need to capitalise on quantum, as I said, to focus on these 3 shifts, but that also comes with additional problems. How can we make sure that patients and clinicians and the system is ready for adoption of quantum? What will this mean for new hospitals and treatment centres? Have they got the infrastructure in place that will let them deal with the impact of quantum? And how can we ensure that patient data is securely kept? So we have launched 5 hubs, which are focusing on different aspects of quantum technology. Some of these are looking at quantum sensing, and some of them are looking at quantum computing. They're not all looking at health and care applications, so quite a diverse range of activities that they are focusing on. So if you've got any interest in these, please feel free to contact me, and I can put you in touch with the people who are leading some of these applications. We also work quite closely with the National Quantum Computing Centre, so they send their apologies today. They have asked me to put the call out. If there is anybody who has any case studies that have moved beyond proof of concept, they would be very interested in hearing about them. So please drop me a line, or come and catch me at one of the breaks if you've got anything that you would like to share on that. So the National Quantum Computing Centre, as I said, was launched last year. When it reaches capacity, it's going to host 12 quantum computers, 70 academics, and 30 PhD students. It is the UK's national lab for quantum computing, and it's going to focus on taking research and how we can translate that to innovation and then move on to patient care. In terms of its ambitions for healthcare, it's focusing on 4 different areas. The first one is how can we have patients who have a better experience? How can clinicians have a better experience? How we can get better health outcomes for patients, and how we can have a more cost-effective way of treating people. They're focused on genomics, diagnostics, treatments and interventions. And in terms of its treatment and interventions, it's very much focused on things like how can we get accurate results for behaviour change, which can be quite difficult to predict with classical computing. How can we accurately forecast treatments and predict what's going to be most effective? How can we predict how disease travels through communities? And precision oncology and tailored radiotherapy. And I think one of the case studies that we are finding most interesting in the department, and something that the Quantum Computing Centre is focusing on, is things like how can we optimise the system for best outcomes for the NHS. So the National Health Service is under significant pressure at the moment. It has resource constraints. I don't know if the same is true in Korea, but they have launched a piece of work which is looking at things like how can we optimise the use of operating theatres? How can we make sure that we have the right number of clinicians working at any time to optimise the use of those resources? So we are interested not only in sort of genomics and AI, but how we can optimise the system in terms of the use of resources. I guess it's based on the travelling salesman theory, isn't it? How can we make sure that the limited resources that we have are being used most effectively? We have also met colleagues from the Cleveland Clinic, and so we are thinking about ways that we can work with them a little bit more. And as I said, we've got the 5 new quantum hubs. So as I said, we're very interested in quantum computing. We just perceive that the impact for patients and the public is going to be further down the line from us. And here are some of the use cases that we are particularly interested in. So I'm just going to finish off by talking about where I see the areas of collaboration for us. The first one is on regulatory approvals, and I'd be interested to hear from anybody who has experience of what Korea are doing around how they are getting ready to regulate some of the technologies that are coming. The UK is also a world leader in clinical trials because we have such a huge patient population, and it's a very diverse patient population. It is a very desirable place to undertake clinical trials. We have a very well-funded government NIHR clinical trials unit and network, so it's a very attractive place if you're looking once the technology has become at a stage where it's ready to be tested, then the UK is a very attractive place to do that. We are aware that clinicians and the public need to be engaged with us as we are developing our strategies and policies around quantum. We are interested in how we can have better education campaigns, how we can make sure that quantum is seen as an attractive profession, how we can attract people who are currently not working in health and care but are working in quantum, how we can make health and care an attractive place for them to work. We are interested in developing new industry partnerships and academic partnerships, so how we can facilitate movement, for example, between colleagues in Korea to come to the UK to undertake joint learning. And we're interested in how we can work more closely, how we can link up clinicians with people, researchers working in quantum to make sure that the sorts of technologies that we are developing are helping us solve some of the biggest problems in our health and care system. So that's all from me. I'd just like to say thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak to you. And, you know, I'm going to be around at the break, so I'll be very happy to speak with anybody about anything that questions that they might have coming out of this. So thank you very much.